coming out tonight. A lot of friends from A Little Taste of Cuba. We have our 15th anniversary tomorrow. The same day, coincidentally, as Padrón's 46th anniversary. I also want to thank my mother, who's here tonight. She flew from Miami. She was my first employee.
Yeah, Mom!
I'm the first and last employee that did not require remuneration for her services. Now, on a special note, of course, we're all celebrating special anniversaries tonight. I do have a speech in here somewhere. It's a big pocket. We'll find it. It was 15 years ago tomorrow that I opened my first A Little Taste of Cuba store in Princeton, New Jersey. It wasn't part of the master plan. I had simply run out of money. And out of dozens of shelves in the cigar parlor, I only had 2 shelves with cigars on them. And those cigars were Padrón cigars. Hundreds of feet of shelving, and every 2 feet I had a box of Padrón cigars, 2 feet of shelf, and another box of Padrón cigars. Now 15 years later, I've had 3 successful cigar stores in 3 states. And I've come to know that the only thing you need to have a successful cigar store is Padrón cigars. Now, it was about 16 years ago today, or about a year before I opened my first store, that I first went to see the Padróns. And I'm embarrassed to show you this, and George will remember this. Señor Padrón se va a acordar de esto, yo creo. I showed them this Crayola drawn logo. I showed up at their office about 10 in the morning, and I said, I'm going to open up a cigar store with this Crayola drawing I did of my logo. And they spent the whole day with me. We drank coffee, we smoked cigars, they bought me lunch, we drank more coffee, we smoked more cigars. And here we are today. I'd like to take all the credit in the world for their success, but I can't do that. But that's the kind of people the Padróns are. You show them a cartoon drawing and a little bit of passion, and they will stand behind you 110%. And they did. They called me monthly to see how I was. Are the cigars selling? Do you need anything? Well, I haven't paid. We'll send you more cigars, don't worry about it. And I want to tell you a little bit more about the kind of people the Padróns are. There's a great article, tremendous article, in this month's, or this issue, of the current issue of Cigar Aficionado, written by David Savona. Did an extraordinary job in about 6 pages of condensing what is one of America and the world's most extraordinary families' legacies into 6 pages. I would recommend you read it. Clearly it's a great magazine, it's a great article by a great writer. But there are a few things I'd like to share with you, some of which may get me in trouble because I do have a personal relationship with them. But I think the fact that we're here together with Mr. Padrón and his son, and Rudy Padrón, by the way, who's the most insane member of the family. I think that I'm going to share with you a few things that may get me into a little bit of trouble, that some of which were not in the article. First of all, José Orlando Padrón is the only man I've ever known to stand up to Che Guevara and Fidel Castro to protect his workers based on courage and conviction, and live to tell about it.
Yeah.
He is the man that transcends business and politics. He's a great human being. He's more than the embodiment of the American dream. He's the kind of man you only get to meet once in your lifetime. In Nicaragua, his workers marched in the streets demanding that he be allowed back into the country to produce cigars. José Orlando Padrón also continued to pay his workers in Nicaragua, and he smuggled and protected his tobacco to preserve his brand. It's an extraordinary story, and you can read about part of that in the recent issue of Cigar Aficionado. At one point, he went to Cuba to free hundreds of political prisoners that had been forgotten by their own countrymen and the political system of this country. He risked his life and his livelihood to do so, because he cares more about people than anything else. He suffered and endured a handful of bombings and death threats to do what was right by other human beings who he respected and admired. Excuse me. Excuse me. In addition, José Orlando Padrón practically discovered Nicaraguan tobacco and brought it to the American market. In the mid-1990s, the Padrón family revolutionized Nicaraguan cigar making and Nicaraguan tobacco with the release of the Padrón Anniversary Blend. They took rich, deep, full-bodied tobacco and made it sophisticated, complex, and extraordinary. And today, Nicaragua continues to realize the fruits of their labor. Most impressive about the Padróns, aside from their cigar making, is the fact that they manage a family business. 12 family members, from Miami to Nicaragua, work together. I tried that. Didn't work out so good. But there are what he considers extended family members, hundreds of them, working in Nicaragua. Children, brothers, sisters, couples, grandchildren. Hundreds of extended family members working together. Children that exist only because Padrón cigars exist in Nicaragua. That is the legacy of Mr. Jose Orlando Padrón. People are what he puts first. And I think that is one of the most impressive facets of this man. It takes a lot of gravitas, character, passion, and above all, love to create a company that has the legacy that Padrón Cigars has. It goes beyond the cigars you're smoking here today. We all know that the Padróns make the greatest cigars in the world. I'm not going to bore you with that story. That is proven by their ratings and your presence here tonight. A silly little thing though, this little commemorative box we put together is the perfect metaphor for what the Padróns are like. Consummate perfectionists with a passion that is unequaled in today's society. And it goes into every single cigar they make. Hundreds of hours, emails, telephone calls. Let me tell you, these people, cigar makers think that the workday starts at 5:30, by the way. And Sunday is Monday to them. Consummate perfectionism. This little box you see here today is just a sign of how committed and in love they are with the products they make and the people that smoke them. They say that they make cigars for themselves, and whatever is left over is what you get to smoke. I think that's a lie. Because nobody cares more about what you think about their product than the Padróns. And you've got to tell them what you think tonight. And they know it, but they want to hear it from you, and it matters. They obsess over quality and the moments you will spend with their cigars, and that's the most precious thing in the world to them. When they say, when Padrón is on the label, quality is a matter of family honor. That's not just a marketing statement, that's the truth. Now, before I go on, and I'm going to wrap it up quick, I just ask you for a round of applause for our host here tonight, the world's greatest cigar maker, Jose Orlando Padrón. We'll have a moment to hear from him. But I do want to say a word to George Padrón. And George, we've been friends almost 2 decades. Or maybe like a few months, who knows how you count it. But George, I'm going to give you a compliment that I've never given anybody else in my life. And you're the greatest son I know. For almost 2 decades or more, you've held your father on your shoulders. And if you're half the father and the leader that you are as son, then the next 46 years of Padrón cigar making are going to be at least as good, if not better, than the last. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you George Padrón and his father, Jose Orlando Padrón.